Now, America's got milk. Too much got milk. America's got milk. Too much of it, in fact. The U.S. is producing a record amount of milk and dumping the leftovers in dirt pits because they can't find enough buyers. You can see it here. Milk output is set to be the highest for a fifth straight year. Meanwhile, milk prices are lower than ever, down 39% this year. Wow. But farmers are not hurting as much as you might think, with the cost of feed also being so cheap right now. So Pim Fox joins me now on set. Pim, who is crying over spilt milk?
Well, it doesn't seem as though anybody's really crying over spilt milk because, as you just said, the farmers are actually making money, even though the price is down nearly 40% over a year and a half.
Now, because they feed these cows with corn, and corn's super cheap and corn subsidized.
Well, it actually has to do, well, I would say also alfalfa. Big harvest for alfalfa. You've got to understand the geography of all of this, too. The Northeast, big milk producer. And at one time, there was this thought that there would be huge demand from places like China for cheese and milk products,
True.
okay?
And that is happening.
Yes, it is happening, but it was happening a lot more and a lot more profitably when the dollar was less strong against foreign currencies. So you've got a currency hit, which is weighing on this huge supply of milk, as you just described. Then you have the increased feed that is available for all of these herds. That is making it possible to produce more milk. Then you also have this big switchover that takes place because you've got perhaps markets in California because of the dry conditions that farmers in the East would produce more milk in order to ship there. So they all went ahead and did this. And what happens when you have too much supply and not enough demand? You end up with a situation like this.
May I just say that this is some pretty intense video we are showing here. Those are really some up-close and personal udder shots. I didn't realize we had those on file. It also has to do with the fact that it's...
Well, it's hard to get a cow to stop, you know, I mean, what are you going to do? Ask the cow not to produce the milk? I mean, they added to the herds.
Yep.
And the idea was there would be this big demand for it. Well, you know, you get displacements in supply because of the change in currency values. You also, as I said, you have this situation where there's just so much of it that if you were to dump it on the market, they can't get it to the market to have it kept fresh. So they've got to dump it.
Plus, there's the issue that it's actually perishable. It's
well, that's what I mean. They can't dump it.
Yeah, you can't just put it in a warehouse or put it on a barge because it's going to go sour in a couple of days.
Yes, you remember the big cheese mountain that the European Union had for such a long time? They had produced way too much cheese, and they ended up having to store it. Well, we had that problem in the United States, too. But, you know, also the fact is that the farmers took advantage of what they saw were high milk prices, right? You look into the future, they were seeing that prices were high. They said, great, we'll expand the herds, we'll produce more milk. But, you know,
I don't remember the Cheese Mountain story, but I have done plenty of dairy stories in Europe, including one about butter in Denmark.
Yes,
butter.
Yes.
That I remember.
That keeps a little better than milk.